Well, the blue purple Switch Lite is now out, and this caused quite the stir online. A lot of conversation around, is this actually blue or is it really purple? I mean, really just a ton of talk around this. So I figured we'd get it here and check it out, because while it says blue right here on the back, I mean, we can't really trust everything these companies say to us, right? I mean, if we could, that means that Cyberpunk would have been functional, Dark Cloud would have killed Zelda, and Watch Dogs would look like this, which I'm still waiting for that, by the way, Ubisoft. Anyway, I did happen to pick one of these up, obviously, and I thought what we'd do is we would put it next to a bunch of other systems and controllers and accessories that are purple and blue, and see how this shade of blue-purple stacks up. Guys, if you enjoy these videos, make sure that like button helps out a ton. If you're new here to the Spawn Wave channel, make sure you subscribe down below. So first thing, I guess we'll go ahead and unbox this. And looking around it, you know what? It's gonna be hard to tell on the camera. I mean, it does look blue in person here, but I mean, I could still kind of see like a shade of purple to it. On the back, there's the best shot of it we have so far just on the box. But when we get it out of here, we should at least get an idea immediately, or at least I should, in person, as to how blue or how purple blue this really is. And see, it still looks weird. I don't know, it kind of still does have like a bit of a hint of purple. So I turned it on here, but I'm gonna go ahead and turn the screen off, just so you can get a really good look at all of this. I mean, the buttons and the sticks and like the shoulder buttons up here, they contrast very well against this kind of this bluish color. Anything there, the Switch Lite is darker versus the bright white buttons. It looks really good. They pop right off of there. And then we have, of course, have the bezel that is the same color all the way around here. Looking at the back, I mean, that's the largest surface area you're gonna see for this color. And you know what? It does remind me very much of like the indigo color that we have for the GameCube, for example. Actually, speaking of which, let's just put this right here, and we're gonna bring in our first comparison, which is the purple or indigo GameCube here, right? And you can see this one, I think this one might be a little, I mean, these are older systems, obviously, from like the early 2000s. So the color will kind of fade a bit as it's worn through time, but it definitely looks more purple than this. This looks more blue, I would say, overall. We had a point where Nintendo Minute had to take this Switch Lite and just start putting it next to blue and purple objects just to try to show like what shade of blue that this really is. But you know what? It's closer to kind of the purple GameCube than I thought it would be. Next up, we have the classic purple Game Boy Color, and this one, once again, looks close. This one looks more purple, especially in person. You can really see it compared to this. I would say this one also looks a bit brighter in person as well. But again, it's still pretty close. Like if that is on there, it does blend in pretty well. Now let's move on to something that's blue, and that is the blue Game Boy Advanced SP. So we'll see how this one looks next to it. And yeah, I mean, you can tell this looks much more blue in comparison to this. It really does come in right between them, but I will say it leans more towards like the blue Game Boy Advance SP. I'd say kind of the bluish hue becomes much more obvious when you put it next to something like this. This is the Colorware PlayStation 5 purple controller that I had painted, and it's a much brighter purple overall. If you kind of look at it next to that, you can see this looks much more blue in comparison. And just to go all the way to the opposite side of the blue end of the spectrum, I did grab the casing for the Mario Anniversary, the Mario 35 that they did, where they packaged this in with the all red Switch. That is a very bright blue. And like I said, compared to this, now it looks purple. So it is, it's like between blue and purple, but I would say that it does lean, like I said, more towards blue. It's just you start putting it next to some of these bright blue and these purple items, and it can look either way. That's the interesting thing about this. It can either look more blue if you have it next to something that's like a deeper purple, or it can look more purple next to something as a bright blue, which is probably why Nintendo is picking some of these different colors. Sure, the Switch Lite, when it came out, had like gray and yellow. I mean, some of those are pretty straightforward, but now we're getting colors like this or coral, where people are talking quite a bit about these different color choices online, arguing back and forth as to what color it really is, to the point where Nintendo, like I said, is putting out videos, just putting things next to it to try to convey the shade of this Switch Lite, this blue. But speaking of which, the color itself I really like. I think a lot of that has to do with them going with the contrasting buttons and joysticks versus the darker hue of the plastics here. They pop off of the system very, very well. And even like the bezel around it, I think works well with these darker colors that Nintendo has with these Switch Lites. And when you flip it over to the back, that Nintendo Switch logo really pops off the back well. And even like the speaker grills at the bottom blend in really well with it. But I will say, if you were someone who's looking for like a brighter, even like a deeper blue like this, after seeing the initial blue that Nintendo put out when the Switch Lite first released, this probably won't do it for you. And then I guess conversely, if you're looking for a purple, maybe a bit more like this, or even just a deeper purple, this also isn't gonna do it for you. It really is a strange color, but I think it's subtle enough that for most people looking for like a darker blue kinda, I think it'll get the job done. But let me know what you guys think about apparently the blue Switch Lite down below. Thanks guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.